But I want to know how was your experience? How was your experience at Pacific Bitcoin?
Yeah, man. The short answer is it was awesome. That we flew the whole Swan team in more or less, and this was the first time most of us got together in person. And so the beginning of the week was a Swan corporate offsite, like rented a big house, presentations, icebreakers, all that kind of stuff. And then we transitioned into a conference and prepping for panels, and there's all these side events, etc. And so it was extremely exhausting. The Swans were working, from sun up to sundown, trying to put on a happy face at all the events. And so I feel for the Bitcoin Magazine guys. You see CK running around the place and you try to say hello and he's just frantic. Like, I get it, bro. Um, but in terms of the conference, confession, I was not excited when Corey's like, "Yo, we're doing a big conference." And in my head, I'm thinking, look at the roadmap, all these products, all these new hires. How can we afford this time and energy on a distraction? And yeah, halfway through the first day, when everything started to click and people were saying, "Wow, you guys did a great job," I became a firm believer. And so I would call it a home run. And yeah, happy we did it.
Dude, you guys killed it. So I've spoken to a lot of people that throw conferences, and basically the same. It's always the same message, right? The first year is a, excuse my language, cluster F, and then and then it gets progressively better. But what was interesting is that you guys killed it from day like the first time, and that was really really impressive. I had a whole lot of fun, dude. I can't recommend it enough for anybody. Anyways, let's pivot back to let's dive into this topic. Bitcoin is the mycelium of money. Why is that, Brandon? I know you have a 59-minute article for anyone to read, but it makes good conversation for a pod.
For sure. Just to like tie off the conference thing, quick alpha to your people. PacificBitcoin2023.com, where we just released a couple hundred early bird tickets. The tickets will be like at least two times as expensive when we start actually selling them. So secure the tickets now if you want to go, and you can get a full refund by July 1st because we don't have the dates figured out yet. Somewhere between September and November. Yeah, anyways, get those tickets if you want to secure them cheap. You can resell them, you can get a refund. So no brainer. Okay. Mycelium of money. Quick background. I am not a biologist, a scientist, or a mycologist, one who studies fungi. I get that. A lot of people think, wow, you know so much about biology, you must be a scientist. No. I took one biology class in college. I just like the outdoors. And like most Bitcoiners, I nerd out in whatever rabbit holes in front of me. And so I just have a decade of amateur studies into mycology, the study of mushrooms. And that predates Bitcoin by many years. I like mushrooms from many angles, whether that's culinary mushrooms, whether that's foraging, whether that's just studying their ecology, which is fascinating, or psychedelics. They're all interesting to me. And when I came across Bitcoin, like most people in 2017, I was trading all the altcoins, making money, thought I was a genius. Quickly in 2018, I realized I was in fact not a genius. And I watched all those anonymous tokens more or less go to zero. And I started to figure out, okay, there's something here. I obviously don't know what I'm doing. And so I kind of went back into the lab and started studying again. And I sort of had to reteach myself economics from the ground up and read all the Bitcoin books at the time. And then the Lightning Network comes out, and I'm looking at a graph of the Lightning Network at a meetup in Bali in like maybe May or something around 2018. And I see this graph of the Lightning Network. Many people have seen it. And it looks like mycelium, which is the primary form of the mushroom organism. So quick fungi 101, fungi are their own kingdom. They're not plants, they're not animals, they're totally unique. They're actually much more similar to animals and plants. Both both fungi and animals inhale oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. The primary difference is that fungi have external stomachs and animals have internal stomachs. And so fungi, their primary form that they take is underground or inside trees. And it's a one cell walled network underground. You can kind of think of it like roots underground, but they're really tiny roots. And those underground roots called mycelium, they connect all the trees and plants together, and they literally form information and trade networks underground. And the most recent mycology studies are showing that they perform what we consider market functions underground. So some mycelium will hoard water when it rains and then wait for a drought, and then they'll resell that water to the trees when they need it most in exchange for fats and sugars, which the tree produces through photosynthesis. So the mushrooms mine minerals, the plants produce fats and sugars from the sun, and then there's a trade network underground. And back to the Lightning Network, that same network archetype that looks like mycelium, and I go, whoa, 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 there's something here. I took my little scooter back to the villa in Bali where I was living at the time with my girlfriend, now wife, and it just hit me. I just started scribbling, writing like crazy, and I more or less wrote the first part of that 4-part Mycelium of Money series that day. But it took me maybe 6 months, so towards the end of 2018, before I felt like I could publish it. Because to be honest, first of all, nobody knew who I was at the time, and all the content I saw was Bitcoin is, here's an economic analysis of Bitcoin, here's some game theory, here's some technology, etc. And I'm like, well, I think Bitcoin might be a living organism, and so got a little gun
Ooh.
shy there. And actually, Dan Held published a series in 2018 called Planting Bitcoin, which he used some sort of entry analogies to how Satoshi sort of like planted the seed and he watered the garden of Bitcoin, etc. And I was like, okay, this is well received. Let's see what happens. And he helped me sort of polish it up before he shipped it. And that was the first time I ever had an article or anything go viral on Twitter before, which was just crazy.